Alright, well, in my first video set, I sent both the vehicles out, forgot to go and take pictures or video. But, they look pretty good. A funny story on the Tahoe, I installed the front bumper cover on it at about, I'd say, 7:30 that evening, and that was Thursday. Friday, he calls me, not even 24 hours afterwards, and somebody backed into his truck. And on the very same bumper cover that I had just installed. And the funny thing is I had replaced, I had done some work on the truck probably back in November, December, something like that. I had to replace the front end, and I also had to do some framework to it and that kind of stuff. But it got damaged again, and this time he paid for it out of pocket versus insurance, and he just kind of got aggravated, and he said, let's just make it better. So I fixed the brackets on it and pushed it all back together. The grill wants to pop out every now and again, but he said, I don't really care. He said, if anything, he'll get aggravated, run a screw through it, which is funny in a sense, but that goes to show what happens when you actually like a vehicle. He's just had a time with it, seems like. It seems like it's cursed. But I went and got everything fixed and made it look better. Brush touched a couple little small scratches, and I buffed the rest of the scuffs out of it. So unless you're right on it, you're not even going to tell that the damage has been done. And it's a daily driver. He takes care of his stuff, but it really sucks. I mean, I really, really hate it for the guy. But we're going to start a new video set. This one will be probably a little bit more interesting to you guys. It's a 2002 Dodge 2500 5.9 Cummins. It's a 5-speed truck, which is really cool. But here it is. I keep forgetting. You're going to have to bear with me for a little while. But I already started on it a little bit. I'm just getting it ready for cleanup. I went ahead and pulled the grill out of it because the grills on these trucks is horrible for getting green behind them, and they are ungodly fragile. But it also has pinstripes. The owner doesn't want the pinstripes put back on. So I'm going to strip the pinstripes off first before I clean it all up real good. This is kind of a farm truck. It don't really it's not going to be loved on. I mean, he wants to take care of it. I'm putting a spray-in bed liner in it. The bed is beat to death. And he wants a spray-in bed liner put in just to kind of cover it up. I'm going to put the bed liner material on the tops of the bed caps. And I just discussed with him a few minutes ago. He's kind of deciding on whether or not he's going to. But I'm going to go right about here on the rockers and lower part of the truck and put the spray and bed liner on it. I'm going to have to put cab corners on it. And this side I'm going to have to put a full rocker panel on because it's rotted all the way up. And, I could doll it up, but I really don't like doing that, especially for something that somebody's actually going to try to, keep. It's just not good practice. The lower the doors, as, it's pretty typical for these trucks. Lower parts of the doors are bad. This side, I'm probably going to just clean it up, sandblast it. I got a little spot blaster. and I'm either going to use, I'm probably going to use something like Chassis Saver or something like that, maybe POR 15 to seal the rust. I might even just paint it with acrylic enamel, something like Rust-Oleum or something like that, because rust is one of those things that as long as you get air out of it, you're good. And for something like this, I mean, it's going to get used. It's going, while he's taking care of it, it's also going to get used and abused, and it's going to get beat up. And he don't really want to pump a whole lot of money in it, but he wants to pump some money in it. I'm also replacing both front fenders. They are in horrible shape. They've rotted out pretty bad. These are actually probably the worst ones that I've had in my shop. The passenger side door, I'm probably going to put a skin on it. I do have a sheet metal brake, but it's only a 2-foot. And I really hate having to make patches like this where I have to go all the way across, because it is all the way across. I don't know if I'm getting you or not. I'm doing this on a phone, so sorry. But I don't like having to make patches and put them together. And then plus, if I'm making a patch, that means that I'm putting time into it, and time is money. But also, the rocker panels and cab corner on this side is in pretty bad shape, as well as the lower door skin, like as previously mentioned. The rocker, however, I want to use a cap, and what a cap does, let me see if I can get myself in here. But what a cap does is it goes up right around and through here, and a lot of guys don't really like them. I don't particularly like using them because that's extra welding, but I like to go and put my weld right in through here in this corner. That way I can just go and take my grinder, grind it back, put a little bit skim coat of filler on it, and you don't know what happened. Now, there's also guys there that would go and cut it down here at this flange, and they would lap weld it, which, if you go and think about it, a lot of these panels are lapped. So you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. It's just not the way that I like to do it, although I'm not above it. Because, if you go and look at like this part here, that's 2 panels lapped over top of each other. And I will guarantee when I cut this rocker or cab corner off, that this is not treated, it's just primed, and that's just the way the factory does it. They don't anticipate them to last, 14 years. They want them to last 5 years, and that's it. After that, it's paid for, it's done, it's yours. So that's kind of how the factory rolls with that kind of stuff. But as I was saying about guys going and lapping over top of this, they'll go and cut this flange here, right here. They'll grind all this back. Sometimes they'll prime it, sometimes they'll leave it in bare metal. I don't like leaving anything in bare metal. So I'll prime it, and then I'll go and, whenever I go to drill for my plug welds, I take a drill bit that I've cut flat with a chop saw, and I take a drill bit, and I cut that metal, cut it down to shiny metal, and then I'll plug weld it. And, just depending on how, what my mood is that day, depends on what I do there. Like I said, I don't really like doing it, but I will do it. But anyway, let me go and get these pinstripes off of it, and I'm going to give it a bath with some Comet and a Scotch-Brite pad, which that goes and, first off, it cleans everything. Second, it gives me a beginning base of sanding. And as I mentioned before, I am a sanding Nazi. I will still probably sand, well, I will still sand this truck again with probably 320, 400 grit in the places that I'm not doing body work. But it's like the tops of the bed caps and such, I'm not going to fix them because they're going to get beat to death anyway. And in my mind, if you replace or if you fix a bed cap, and on a work truck especially, if it gets dented again, well, then you got a little thin coat of body filler that will pop up and it looks like crap, versus you got a dent. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, I might go and take my stud gun and go and pull them out a little bit, make them better, but other than that, I'm not really going to invest a whole lot of time in it. The spray and bed liner will take care of the majority of it. You won't really notice it. It's pretty cool stuff. But anyway, I'm getting up to 11 minutes. I'm rambling too much, so I will hush. I will talk to you guys in a little while.